Hello again, YouTube. My name is Maureen, and this is Rain Reads. And today I'm going to be doing my very first book tag. And my book tag is going to be Because Feeling Matters. Because Feeling Matter. Clearly, it's my first one. This book tag is done by Michelle Lynn. And the reason I got to it is because Katie Tastic did it. So I'm going to link Katie Tastic's video, and I'll link Michelle Lynn's video below, so you guys can see the original and the video that I got it from. But I just want to answer these questions, get my name out there, and I don't know, maybe I'll tag somebody in it. I don't know. We'll see. Alright, so let's get to these questions. So, question number 1. What book made you feel confident either about yourself or your life? I don't know about a specific book. Oh, I do know a specific book. Into the Wild by John Krakauer. Talks about Chris McCandless. If you guys have seen the movie, you know the story. Sells all of his possessions, gives away his money to charity, and ventures out into the Alaskan wilderness in order to find himself. That made me feel really confident about, the choices I'm making as an adult and the choices that I am going to make. Made me feel really good. Just made me feel empowered and made me want to get up there and change the world and do something really, something for me and not necessarily for, the the benefit of other people. Well, not to say that. I was doing it. I don't want to sound like I'm doing it all for me, but, the things that I do, you want to do it not in order to please other people, but in order to please yourself. That's what I want to say. All right. So, question number 2. What book made you feel sympathetic or sympathize greatly with the characters? I have a very specific book for this one. The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. First off, I love memoirs. I will read a memoir every day. I will read nonfiction, stuff like that, any day of the week. But The Glass Castle definitely made me feel really, I really felt for her when I was reading it, and it reminded me a lot of my childhood. Not to the extent, but that she had gone through, but definitely, I could, I'm a very empathetic person as it is. So whenever I do read a memoir, I like get into their head and get into their shoes and like kind of feel for them. So any memoir I would say, but very specifically the Glass Castle. Um, what book made you feel anxious? For some reason, uh, Lullaby by Chuck Palahniuk made me feel really anxious. I don't know why. I think it's because I had no idea, um, like I couldn't see where the book was going, and I really do enjoy that because I don't like knowing the endings of anything. But I just couldn't see where it was going, and I was like on the edge of my seat, and I could feel my stomach turning as I was, turning the pages. It was a really, it wasn't necessarily a bad feeling, but at the same time, I was like, I don't know if I like this. So there we go. Number 4. What book made you feel annoyed? um, The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest by Stieg Larsson definitely made me annoyed. And hopefully most people have read it by now, but sorry, spoiler alert, but the second book, it's 500 pages of rehashing the first 2 events, or the events in the first 2 books, and to me, I was like looking for something new and looking for something, the exciting things that happened in the first and the second book, and I felt like the third book was just like a big like recap, and I read them in succession, so I didn't need a recap, so it was kind of, a little redundant. So that book definitely made me feel annoyed. What book made you feel disappointed? What book made me feel disappointed? Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, only because I was only disappointed because I knew that my childhood was over as I was reading the last book. And it wasn't disappointing in the sense that it was bad. It was just disappointing because it was the end of Harry Potter. Like, who wasn't disappointed, honestly? Um, Question number 6. What book made you feel confused? Mm. Mm. Ah, I know a good one. Uh, I'm gonna disappoint a lot of people, but I was definitely confused by the Hunger Games. I've only read the first book, and that was only because I was just so, shocked by the choice they made. Obviously, everyone's read Hunger Games, seen Hunger Games, so I'm just gonna say it. Through the whole Hunger Games, only one person can win, only one person will survive, and it's going that way the entire book. And then I feel like they just made this like terrible writer's choice to like keep the series, like to make it a series and be like, oh, just kidding, we're gonna have two people win the Hunger Games. It's like, well, I feel like it was just like it was just a weird choice, and I was like, I like had to put the book down. I was like, what? Really? They're gonna make that choice here? I was just, it just left me with a weird feeling. I know I'm probably going to upset some people, but I do plan on reading Catching Fire and Mockingjay eventually. It's just that I am in no rush because I was just so confused by the first book. Question number 7. What book made you feel satisfied? A very recent read. I read Serena by Ron Rash. They are making that into a movie with Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence. So I was, I had high hopes for the book. I'm like, oh, if they're making a movie about it, it's got to be good, especially with like a power couple or a power like film screen couple like them. But I was just, I went in reading into the book like, I had high hopes. I was really excited, and I came out of like I was done reading it, and I got more than what I went in. Like, I felt like I got so much more than what I expected. It was a really cool feeling. I was like, great, this is actually a good book. And then because I was on a streak recently of reading books that I hated, so I was like, all right, Serena, don't let me down. And it didn't let me down, and I was excited. So there. Let's see. Question number 8. What book made you feel like you could really relate to the main character? And I'm looking at my dinky little bookshelf right now, and I'm just gonna pick a book. It's called Blood, Bones, and Butter, and it's by Gabrielle Hamilton, and it's a memoir about her growing up in the food industry, and becoming the chef and becoming a restaurateur and things like that. And she actually, I had no idea until I read the book, she grew up about like an hour away from me. She actually like grew up very close to where my boyfriend is from. So that is a really, like, I read that and I was super shocked, and then I was going on, she and I have, very similar, food backgrounds. Like, I work in food right now. Am I gonna say where I work? No, because that sucks. But I have a nice food background. I do love cooking, and I just felt like, a lot of what she had to say was very, I could relate to a lot. Alright, so that is the last question. I'm all done. So I'm going to link those people below like I said I would. And you guys can answer this if you want, if you can see it, or if anybody sees it. Go ahead and tag away. So, YouTube, till we meet again.